Well, can you just briefly define client retention for designers and just let them know what it really is and how it pertains to them?
Sure. Well, one of the things to remember, and we all know this, of course, is that design is a relationship-intensive business, and client retention is an absolutely critical component of that. And what we mean by that is not just having that client be a one-time client. We want to make such an impression on them that first time, that first interaction, that first project that we work on together, that they come back over and over and over again, and they tell their friends how fabulous we are, and it really is an incredibly valuable tool.
Definitely. Okay. So if you can just kind of take us through based on your experience as a designer, as well as now focusing on training people on the facet of client service, how important have you found that client service is to a business?
Again, we really just can't overstate the importance. Client retention is absolutely critical, and providing outstanding customer service is really the most effective and most cost-effective way to, number one, get clients, two, maximize our opportunities with our clients, and three, keep existing clients and create those loyal, lifelong clients. And, of course, that third objective I just listed, keeping clients or client retention, is the element that we'll focus on today. In interior design, as I said, especially residential design, is a very relationship-intensive business. You know, we work hard to develop relationships with our clients, to really get to know them, to understand their taste, their lifestyle, in order to uncover and meet their needs. In order for any design project to really, truly be successful, it's key that we do this, and we do it in order to uncover and meet those needs.
Okay.
And because that designer-client relationship is so important, once a client has found a designer, and this is really a great thing, once a client has found a designer that they really click with, that really gets them, and they love the results that we as designers are producing, they really don't want to take the time and energy to go out and build a relationship with another designer. So on one hand, that's a tremendous advantage to us as designers, but it really also should serve as a reminder to us as designers that the personal contact and the relationship aspect is of primary importance to the client. So we have to work really hard to maintain that level of commitment and to constantly show our clients that we want and appreciate their business.
Okay.
That's, I think, first and foremost. Among other things, we want to remember that it's much more expensive to acquire a new client than it is to retain one. You know, we're focusing here not only on the importance of client retention, but how it can save us money in the marketing department. And so the statistic is that it costs 5 times as much to attract a new client as it does to keep an existing one. And that's pretty significant. So
it is.
Yeah, if you can save that, it's a substantial advantage. So your past clients, in addition to being much less expensive to do business with, your past clients are the ones that are more likely to be future purchasers. You know, I think of it in terms of anyone who's ever worked on a fundraising campaign. You know that people who have donated to you in the past are more likely to donate again. You know, they've bought into the cause, they understand, they're willing to contribute, they believe in it. You're not starting from ground zero with those. And it's the same with our design clients. They've already shown that they want and like what we have to offer and are interested in purchasing. So whether we call it client retention or account management, relationship management, or just keeping in touch, developing that strategy that allows us to retain the clients that we have is vital to the success of any business, especially a design-based business, and especially now.
Well, let me ask you this. If in this world of technology, this particular generation seems to be very focused on online activity, and it seems to be less personal communication. Do you find that with client service that the level of service changes, whether you're using email to communicate with your clients versus in-person communication, or do you think it just depends upon who your actual client is and how they want to communicate with you? Do you think there's a preference either way to establishing a better relationship?
Absolutely, and I think it really is situational, and the same process that we use to get to really know our client, I think helps lend us, or point us in a direction of how to best communicate with that client. That if we know we're dealing with someone who's a busy CEO of a company, then she might appreciate the email contact. That might be the way to go with that individual. And it's situational, I think, too, in terms of the topic to be discussed. There are certain topics that, if it's just a quick information exchange, an email might be perfectly appropriate. If it's something that warrants a lengthy discussion, then we have to take the time to make the phone call or to invite that client in or to go see them and have that face-to-face discussion. So I think the big cautionary tale is I think we want to not take the easy road all the time in terms of, it'd be quicker and easier maybe to send an email, but maybe this is a time where the client would really benefit, and us as well, by having the face-to-face conversation, and they appreciate that we took the time to make that happen.
Right. And I can definitely attest to that. I think we all have different examples, whether we look at ourselves as the client or we are the service provider. Like, for example, I'm working with a particular client to select furnishings throughout her home, and I'm working with a showroom. And unfortunately, we've had a lot of glitches along the way in terms of the communication, it seems, between the showroom and different manufacturers. And there tends to be so many issues with every single order, and I don't understand it. Very rarely did someone pick up the phone to call and say anything. It's always these quick emails, and I do have to admit that if, to me, my client and I have spent a substantial amount of money with the showroom, and a quick phone call to say something to address it would have meant a lot more to me than a quick email here and there. So, that's just one thing that I look at. I look at my own personal experiences to help me be a better service provider and help me really retain my clients in the way that I would want to have them, service me.
Absolutely, and that's a great point. I mean, so many of our own experiences are incredible teachers as to how we should be treating, and those things that we appreciate are a lot of the same things that our clients really appreciate and are meaningful to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's really key, and it's especially easy when you have to deliver some kind of bad news. And we all know in the design industry, there's no shortage of bad news. Things are discontinued and things are shipped broken, and things happen. And so those are specifically some of the conversations that are probably not best sent via email.
Right, exactly. I guess I'm going to approach this a little differently because you have experience just like the rest of us as a designer, and you have the bonus of focusing on client service. So I'm going to ask, from day one, not going through an entire scenario, but from day one where there's client interaction, can you give some examples of how we can foster that relationship with the client to put them at ease and keep them coming back to us?
Absolutely. I actually have some key strategies that I'd like to share. Before I go into those, I want to touch just on a couple of things to consider in terms of what's going on in today's business environment, because it's a general, these are general observations about the business environment, but they impact the design industry just as significantly, if not more so, than any industry that we could look at.